All right. Mm, mm, mm. All right. What's going on, y'all? Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got the dope sounds and dope beats from my man, DJ Skill Spins. Big ups. Appreciate you, bruh. Uh, so yeah, I've been on a kick of doing digital coloring and flatting. I think I want to attempt to get into that. Um, kind of just as a moonlighting gig. Flatters don't make a lot of money. Um, I mean, I'm doing a few other things, so I don't think I need to be rich off of it. I mean, I'm not going to not take the money, but um, it would just be more of a just to keep my skills sharp and just have something to do. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening here. Um, I'll wait a little while longer for a few other folks to get on, and I'll get started. All right, well, I'm gonna get started here. I'm using a Huion 19-inch monitor slash tablet, and Photoshop is the preferred tool that I'm using. I'm going to shrink Photoshop just a little bit right now so I can move stuff around and show you guys what I'm using and how to get your layer set up, how to get your actual image set up, and all that good stuff. So I'm not sure whose inks these are. It says maybe MTG or MG or something. I just got some high res inks online and decided to go on and start using that as practice. So once you import it into Photoshop, if you don't know how to do all that, just hit me up. We can go over that via email or Skype or something. I don't know. But for the sake of moving forward and knocking this out here, you import just regular line work, some really crisp, clean line work, so you can follow the inks of the artist. You'll import it. You'll start with a layer. Just it when you open Photoshop, there's a layer automatically placed there for you. You'll double click it. There's a lock here. You double click it, hit unlock. You import your layer, which is line arts. So we can double click that and name that line art. And with that layer selected, you want to go to your drop down here and multiply is what we want to use. That telling that layer to be multiplied allows for colors and all that stuff to come, but still be able to see the line art. So if I go back to layer 0, we'll just call that flats. Excuse me. So if I grab any color G, and I use a lot of shortcuts too. And then it fills a whole layer, but you can still see the line art. That color is just a little too much. I usually use gray, and you always want to use a color when you're doing colors so you can actually see the color. if you're just painting on white background, white is not a good uh, indicator of color. So you can actually, color needs color to show color. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it does. So with that flats layer selected, um, and you have your line art up, you want to grab your lasso tool. And so there's a couple different lasso tools. You have the regular lasso tool, and then you have the polygon lasso tool. The polygon lasso tool keeps the line straight. The regular lasso tool is freehand. You want anti-alias unchecked. By default, it's checked up here. And you want to make sure you're on a correct layer, which is the flats layer, because that's where all your colors will start coming into play here. So I'll hit the key letter Z, which is zoom, and you see the magnifying glass. For zoom, if you hold down and go back and forth, and let it stop tripping, you can see it resizing itself. If you hold space on a keyboard, hold the space bar down, you see that little hand, and then you can slide it over and move it wherever you want to. If you hold R, you can rotate. And so I'll hold space bar, move it around. If I hit L, I'll get my lasso tool, and we'll just get in there and start tracing around her. We want to trace the whole body first. And I'll come in, make a loop. And so I've got a selection here, and that's what the lasso tool is doing. It's creating a selection for you. I want to add to that selection because I'm going to create, her whole body's going to be one color for starters. If I want to add to the selection, I'll hold this shift key. I don't know if you can see it, but the lasso is there. But when I hold the shift key, a little plus sign pops up. And that means it's allowing me to add more to the selection. I hold it down, start dragging, I let go. You can let go, you don't have to, but, and now I'm able to keep adding more to this selection. And then I'll just come back up again. And so now, can y'all see those marching ants? Yeah, somewhat. So I just added more selection to that other selection up top. And we'll do this until we have her fully selected. And again, I use the R key to rotate so I can be comfortable when I'm selecting around the line art. Now there's a trick you can do if you want to use the polygon one, which I rarely use and rarely do that trick because it's kind of difficult. But if you hold Alt while you have the freestyle one, the freehand one, it'll go into, oops, my bad. It'll go into the polygon one and won't be freestyle. So, but I rarely, unless I'm doing like buildings or something, I'll do that. But there's no need to do it for this. And I'll show you something here. So how I'm adding to the selection by holding the shift key. Let's say I want to take a little selection out, which I will. I've seen a piece in her hair that I'll need to take out, but we could do it here. I'll hold the Alt key and the minus sign comes up, so there's no plus sign. And if I kind of just go in, now I've created a little hole right there. So yeah, Photoshop is pretty powerful. Holding the shift again because there's a selection here. And you can start it anywhere. Like you can start that adding a selection wherever you want to. Holding plus down again. You can also use a bamboo tablet for this type of stuff. I forgot the guy's name that I look at YouTube and follow his channel for the teaching of the digital coloring, but I think he says it a lot that he just uses a little raggedy tablet. Let's see, let's rotate this a little bit. Let me get this part again. But definitely some type of pen related device would be the best. I downloaded there's an app called PaintStorm for the iPad, which is pretty decent. I like it. And I started doing some digital color there. But I'm saying all that just because, again, the iPad, you have a pencil that you can actually use instead of like a mouse. I couldn't even imagine using a mouse for something like this. Okay, and here's a part. So if I hit Alt, I'm taking out this section because where her legs cross here, you should be able to see through there. And so now there's a section missing. And when I drop a color, just solid color, to fill her body, you'll see that that selection has been made or has been taken out. Um, and when I was setting up the lasso tool, I think I was saying you want the anti-alias off. The anti-alias creates a feathering effect for the line, and you don't want that when you're doing this type of work. You want the line work to be very clean and together. I think that's right. Like a lot of stuff you will end up taking liberties on because, you know, it's just the style of that artist as a penciler. You know, some lines don't close all the way, or whatever the case may be with that artist. You kind of just have to, know some anatomy or a lot of anatomy, especially when it comes to lighting and all that. But you have to learn how hair flows and all that good stuff. Um, and I think I'll take a piece of it here. I think that's it. I think her hand here too. So I just held the Alt key, and it allows me to take a minus out or take a selection out. I'm gonna hit zoom out just a bit so I can see if I have everything. R, rotate. And also if you hit R, you select the rotate tool. And if you hold shift and rotate, it snaps. All right, so now we got our whole body selected. I usually use like a dull bluish type color. I hit G and tap it. Her whole body is filled with one color, and that's the start of your flats. So if I hit Control D, the marching ants goes away. If I take the line art away, you'll see it's very clean with that lasso and that anti-alias off. This would have been fuzzy all around the line work, and you don't want that. So we'll put the line work back up. We'll stay on the flats. I'll grab my lasso tool again, and then we'll just start. So when you're flatting, you want to start with the biggest pieces first. So like it would be her outfit, her skin, then the skulls, her hair, her boots. I guess this would be the same color as that. I don't even know who this character is, but and then her gloves. And so after a while, it'll get easier and quicker. And I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about, because we're on a separate layer. These colors, how can I put that? You can go outside and drop the color in, and they won't go anywhere but on this blue. That was the whole purpose of doing this first. I'm gonna make this bigger. Let's see, I'm gonna grab my zoom tool here. Lasso. I'm gonna probably zoom in quite a bit so I can make sure I get some clean lines here. And we'll start with her outfit. That's a pretty big piece. And then here, that's what I was saying, like we don't need to focus on the line work as much as we do here. And that's part of the outfit. So what I can do is come up like that. And we can always take away and add. So I'm going to start here and add, because I think her arm, part of the arm uniform is up here. Oh, and heck, even this part. I want to see, oh, this is her uniform too. Costume, uniform, I don't know. And I think, so this is flatting, and I think from what I gather is that this is very tedious for the colorists, and they don't want to do it. They want to just get in and get paid. Flatters don't make a lot because this doesn't require too much thought. You know, you're just kind of like a big coloring book, kind of coloring in the numbers, or coloring in the lines, I should say. And that's it. I mean, there are a few colorists and comic book companies that do recognize their flatters as actually artists, and that, you know, they do help and play a big role in getting the comic out, issues done and all that. But for the most part, just a flatter, you know. And like I said, to me, for a couple things, I wouldn't mind doing it. One, you know, to get your foot in the door of like Marvel or DC would be dope. But also, just, you know, at night, like I said, to keep your skills up, keep your hustle up. So I think I got all her uniform there. selected. So I'm gonna pick a color, hit the letter G for my paint bucket, and boom, the color just falls in. Like I said, we didn't have to actually trace all the way out here, so that helps speed up some stuff. And the reason we didn't is because we started with this full blue as her fill-in. So now we can deselect that. I think I'm gonna do, I would say her boots and her gloves are the same color. And so I'll show you real quick how that will, we can finish that up really quick. So if I zoom in, zoom out just a little bit, I don't think I need to be that tight. But if I get my lasso tool, and so where the blue touches, we can't have that because now it's thinking it's the same color. But if we kind of, so now I can just go around like that. Let's do her gloves. I don't need to really focus on that. Just wherever the blue is touching is where I need to focus of getting the lasso tool in there. So I'm gonna just pick like a dark gray, pick my gray bucket and deselect, boom. So you can see how it's now starting to speed up. So once you start chunking out these bigger sections, you can just start dropping color in there now. And I think the next biggest thing would probably be her skin. So zoom in just a bit more. Slide it over. L for my lasso. So right now, I can just circle around. I don't even have to really focus on what I want down there because it's all different color. Like now for where her hair is, I gotta pay attention and get around the little knots and the ponytail stuff here. And connect that. Hold the plus or the shift key to add more. I don't want the skull to be the same color. We'll just add, I think that's part of her arm right here. I'm gonna add for this arm. Actually, that's on her skin. This is hair. Let's get her neck and her face. And I can only assume that the more you do this, the faster you get. So that's part of her skin too. And so the selection tool, what it's doing is that you're only focused on that selection. I'm going to assume she's a white lady. So we'll grab that color. G. Maybe this color. Let's see what that does. Yeah, let's roll with that. Let's deselect first of all. Let's do her hair. And so now, if I grab the zoom tool, zoom in a little bit, lasso. I probably could have got in a little tighter with that, but we'll separate the skull from the hair. And then we can just kind of go all the way out here. Separate this part of the skull from the hair. Come down. And what should happen, we'll make her... Well, right now these colors really don't matter, but I'll make her a blonde just right off the bat. That's kind of what I see. Use some dark yellow, G, and boom. I'll deselect, zoom. So now, only thing we got left is the skulls and her thighs. So, excuse me. If I grab the lasso tool, I don't even have to really trace anything. But the reason I still will do that, because if I picked the color and chose for her thighs, it would go with the skull because everything is still blue and it remembers. So I'll just kind of somewhat do the shape, hit my eye, and if I grab the eyedropper, it's going to pick the color that I select. And I want to say, I mean, they're fishnets, but they might be a little slightly different. So I'll add just a touch of gray in there or something. Hit the G. And so now it looks like they could be like a sheen over her thighs or something. If I hit deselect, now I can grab like a bone color. I'm gonna cancel. I had a bone color up here. And that's it. Flat's done. Heck, how long we been with me explaining? I mean, it's only been like 30 minutes, and this is pretty easy because it's only one character. There's not a lot happening. There's no background, nothing. So I mean, it would definitely take a little while longer. Like I still probably could probably do her lips and her eyes. But yeah, that's pretty much flatting. So now let's talk about some coloring. And so with this, you just always want to start with the biggest selections of color and just work your way down. Our lasso. Oh, that kind of worked out. And so this is where you need to know anatomy and all that stuff because I have no clue what these lips are doing. So, and just what when you're doing this, comics in general, like they always say the whites of their eyes. Don't ever use full white. Deselect and we'll lasso pupils here. Another color. Let's say green. So here, I'll probably grab red. So I'll get mine, because you can see where it's a piece that's not fully colored. I'll grab my brush, screen, we'll do normal, hard. So you can do that, just to clean it up. I grab this color, brush, a little bit of the skull. Wasn't right. We zoom out, and there she is. Okay, so now what I want to do. What up, homie? What I want to do now is, and I will shrink this a little bit again so you guys can see. So now it's, those are all the flats. What I'm going to do is duplicate that layer by dragging it down to my new layer. That creates it duplicates it, or you can just click it and it'll create a blank layer. You can also right click this and say duplicate layer. I'm gonna double click it and name it colors. And so what happens, you always want to have your backup stuff. And once I get into it, I'll have another layer and call it line art 2 or something, but turn one of them off. And you can turn layers off by just selecting the eyeball. But you always want to have extra layers of your work in case something goes wrong, in case something just doesn't, the computer crashes or something, you have your work saved and you don't have to redo all that over again. I think Photoshop automatically comes with like a 10-minute or 5-minute autosave, but you can change that too. I won't go into that because that's not what we're here for. So I created another layer, or duplicated that layer, called it colors. And so what happens is if you hit the W key or select your wand tool, it's like a magic wand with the little sparkles around it. I'm only selecting, since we made selections of all the different colors and outfits and boots and stuff. It's only selecting that stuff that we colored purple or whatever color that is. If I hold the shift down, it's the same with the lasso tool. It There's a plus sign on that little cursor right here. And so now I can click that and I have two of those selected. If I hold it down again, I can select that part of her costume, the neck part, and the other shoulder part. And so now I can work on that stuff by itself without interrupting like her skin or the skulls or her boots or whatever. And so to take it a step further, so I know I won't screw anything up, I created a action. And that action does just a few things, but it creates it where I will never be able to go anywhere. I won't be able to unselect anything or do anything like that. And I have my action created to couple with the key F4. So if I hit F4, it created a new layer. It locked that layer. And now if I pick pink and my brush, I'll make it a little bigger. I can color anywhere out here, but once I get in here, that's the only place it's going to color is her uniform. If I, let's see, Control Z, undo, I can color all out here, but now I can color inside of there, come back through here, all of that. I'm only affecting her uniform. Control Z, undo. If I'd done this a couple times, I was like, man, I don't like that. If you hold Control Alt and keep hitting Z, you can undo multiple times. But my action, when I hit F4, I have to have something selected first. I hit F4 and it creates a new layer, it locks it, and then I can do what I need to do. And how you create an action, glad you asked. This play button here, if you click that, and here's record. When you hit record, you're recording all the stuff you do or whatever. So I'll stop because I don't need to record anything. But if you hit the folder, you can say, hey, I want a new set of actions. You name it, whatever, hit cancel. Let's see, there's just okay, that's it. I'm sorry, cancel. So it's like the new layer. You have a new action looking same icon. If you hit that, you can name the action. You can choose what it's supposed to do, the function key. So like I said, I have mine set to F4 and I don't need any colors. And then you would just hit record and it would start recording that action of you. So now you still have to do the thing, the steps or whatever you want that action to start doing. But when you're done with it, you hit stop and then you have your action. So like I said, let's close that. I'll throw this layer away. So I'm on my colors layer. I get my magic wand, select that part of the outfit, select that part, and these other few little parts here. And now if I hit F4, you'll watch over here that, let's see, I can move that over a little bit. Yeah. If you watch here, as soon as I hit F4, a new layer will create. The marching ants will go away, and I'll just color on her outfit. Boop. So what I told my action to do is after I select, I hit record. Then I came down, I created a new layer, I locked that layer, and that's it. Only two things on that action, but creating the key F4 just saves the time. That's pretty much what that's for. Actions save you a little time, especially when you're trying to get some work out, get some work done. All right, so we'll start doing some coloring here. I'll rotate her around so you can see her kind of normal. So as an artist, you have to think about light source, um, and where that light source is coming from, all that. So according to this, most artists will show you where that light source is coming from, depending on how their style of art is. I'm looking at this guy's stuff. It's really dark under here, so that's an indicator that the light is coming from, and you can't see it because I have that on. So the light source is coming from here and maybe here a little bit, because you can see it's dark here as well. So there could be two sources of light. There could be three sources. I don't know. I'll stick with looking at his work. And the light's coming from here and from here. Undo those two. Select, 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 select. F4. And so I'll grab my lasso tool. And so right now I'm kind of just drawing. Just a little thought. So one, I don't have to, again, focus on anything. I could draw wherever I want, and I will only color on her outfit, right? So I think I'll zoom in just a bit. And there's a little shadow happening here, so I'll hold the shift key. I think I want to add some. So right, what I'm going to do is add some highlights to kind of what I'm looking at right now. And I'll come down here. Actually, I think I want this to come out here like that. And so I'm just holding the shift key and adding selections. And I'll show you in a second here what that's going to do. We'll add just a tad bit here. And so when I'm adding these selections, this is the only place I want that highlight to hit. I guess I can do her boots back here too. And I'm kind of just following his line art really, but understanding where light hits and how it hits and all that good stuff. So I think I'm kind of pleased with what's happening. I think I'll add a little bit to here, because you kind of want certain things to pop a little bit. And so this first set of highlights won't be as extreme. I think that's good. So with all that selected, I pick my brush which I hit B. And I'm using just a standard round brush. I change it from normal to screen. I'll probably bump it down the opacity to like 20 to between 20 and 25. Just you kind of just get a feeling for it, your flow. You can turn that down just a bit if you want. And I usually make the brush wider and kind of just, no, I don't like that at all. Let's undo. Get that color. So I grab this color, and what I'm gonna do is just move up a little bit and over to make it lighter. Hit brush again. And I also have Cow's brushes loaded. They come with Photoshop now, or Adobe products. And as you can see, it's starting to get lighter. And this method is called cuts or cutting, because you're actually cutting into the color. And this is kind of just where you kind of do your thing, really. That's where you put your own style to as a colorist. But at the same time, at some point following the principles of lighting, if you will. I like that, so I'll deselect and so here you can see kind of where it's starting to fade. You want to do some fades, and at some point there will be some hard cuts you'll see, but that's pretty much it, So now with this layer still on there, I'll go in and cut some more, and start really popping that highlight out and making it, noticeable. Let's see. So I'm gonna pay attention a little bit here, which I don't have to, but because I want this to be a little in the shadow. I didn't hold plus sign, so I can just do that again. So now I have two selections of her butt selected, which I'll hit with really higher highlights on there. And it's the same with all this stuff that I kind of just done. But now I can almost start drawing a little bit. Because, her uniform or costume, whatever, I keep calling it uniform, is that spandexy material. So now you can like do the little squiggles in there where the wrinkles appear in her uniform, outfit, whatever. And then that's when you will really see those cuts starting to be very prominent. I gotta figure out why that keeps doing that too. So there's a shine there. We definitely want those to pop. And then some places you got to get in real close because I want this rim of her glove part of the uniform to be really bright. Same with here and here. And now you can also start putting in shadow and understanding where that light will hit. So like under her neck here, I don't need to bring that line up there. I can stop it here because this needs to be darker than this part. If that makes sense, because her chin casts a shadow. And maybe I want this to pop a little bit. Nose. And then here I can just start drawing whatever I want. But I still want that to be the shadow part, but you know, light will find a way to get down there. And then it's also just trial and error. You know, if you don't like it, start over. I mean, you got separate layers, you got everything on different layers to where it won't kill you to start over. And that's the whole point of practicing art anyway, is practicing and getting better. I see I forgot a piece, so I'm going to add a little part here. I think I want to add something right here too. And so since I have that color selected, I will just go up a little further. Pick my brush tool again. And I'm just tapping. I'm really not pressing hard. I'm allowing the pressure of the pen itself to, you know, decide how heavy that light needs to be or whatever. And wherever I got those selections, I'll make sure I hit it, you know, like I said, depending on how much I want that light to fade out or really see a hard line somewhere. And that's kind of, again, where you as an artist are making decisions, good decisions, but you're making your own decisions on like, okay, that light is coming from here and I want it to pop, but I also want to see a little bit of a cut. And once I'm done, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see what actually, when I say cut, what that means and what that looks like. And also just, you know, looking at a lot of comic books. I'm sure everyone has seen comics. We read comics, whatever. So if I deselect, I got some more stuff here. I'm going to zoom in real quick and show you what I mean by cuts. So see where that hard line is, but then it kind of fades right here, you know, just cutting it in. And it fades out up here, but it's hard here. And the light is very intense up here. Same here, you know, and as it's coming down here, you can see the fade, you can see different cuts, very light cuts. These are hard cuts. And it's because you're coming down here to the shadow. Here, I wanted to see those hard cuts because that light bounces around and it just adds to me a little different dynamic to it. And so I'll probably do one more set of lassoing and it'll be really white, almost white. Then I'll do another set and I'll do shadow work, but I'll choose like blue or purple, a dark purple, to be the shadow. You want to have a little bit of contrast, and to make that work is for people not to know that you've used a separate color in there like that. So yeah. And again, I'm still on that same layer that is not. I won't mess with it at all because it's locked. I won't mess with anything else. Zoom in a little bit. And so with this, I don't need as many cuts, right? Um, because I don't want to overdo that whole slick coloring. Like, there will be a few, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't like that either. So, okay. And you just start developing your own style. You know, like I'll show a typical style that you'll see a lot of comic book artists do. Um, but I think I've found my own, what I like doing. Ah. All right, so I got that. I'll zoom out a little bit. If I grab that color, if I just move over here, like I said, it'll almost be white, but I'll borderline right on white in actual color. Hit OK, grab my brush again, and you'll see most artists still do that whole thing like that, and it'll just keep getting whiter and whiter. Then you have that fade, and it's like that shine. I really don't like that too much. Like, I'll do it sometimes, um, but I like getting my brush kind of small, and like especially for these, um, I'll hit it hard here and then just let it fade out on its own. Sometimes I just may, do that whole trick. And I don't even know what it's called, but it's just a highlight trick to do the whole shiny thing. But so that cut will be really hard right there too, but then it'll just fade out of nowhere. But kind of keep it light up top there. For here, because her boot casts a shadow, you kind of could just hit it right there. I don't know. I think I'm gonna just. A little bit like that. We'll see. Deselect. And that'll work. And then, like I said, I will go And now choose a blue, something like that. Let's just see what I get, right? Hit OK. Get my selection tool, so I know I want all this to be, all that's in the shadow. So that's shadowy. This is shadow. This is shadow. This is shadow. I probably could have done something right here with the highlights, but it's cool. I'm practicing. No, so I picked my brush. I don't think I want that brush. So I'll go back to just a soft edge, and I'll leave it at screen. Dumb it down a little bit, see what I get. Something like that? No. Let's see what multiply does. And you just mess around with different brushes and different techniques and see what happens. Yeah, I like that. And that's blue. So I added, when you're doing shadows and stuff, and this is, just learning about color theory and all that stuff, you want to use a different color besides like just darkening that color. And that's what that multiply and all that stuff will help with. And it just adds more dimension to your piece. So if I deselect, now we got some shadow happening under there. We can go in and do a little more, but I think I like the way that turned out. I don't think I want to mess with it. That's another thing, you gotta know when to quit. Now that her uniform's done, or outfit, damn it, whatever it is, what I could do, let me shrink this so you guys can see what's happening. I'll just take this layer, right click it, and merge down. I don't even need to mess with it no more. It's done. I won't go back in. If I need to mess with something, I can just take that out and I'm back to my flats and start over. I also want to show y'all something real quick. So let's say I like how all these colors are working right now, but let's just say I didn't like that gray. So I'm on this colors layer. If I get my wand tool, click her boots. Since that's selected, if I go to image and adjust and go to hue saturation, which is here, we could change the color. Hold on. Do I need to go out to that? I don't think so. Image adjustment, hue saturation. There we go. Oh, because it's only gray. As you can see, her boots are changing colors. But since it's only gray, there's no color to actually take away, but I'll cancel. But like if I was doing like her hair or something, and I'll show you, we can do that. Grab the wand tool, select her hair. If I grab that hue saturation, now it's a color You know, I could just change her hair to whatever I want. That's the beauty of flatting and separating your colors properly. You can do whatever you want to do. Once you send it to the colorist, he can change whatever he wants to do. What you're doing is just separating all these parts for him to do his job. But since I got that selected, I'll hit F4 to run my action. It creates a new layer here. And now I will only affect her hair. And I'll go big here. Zoom in. And it's the same thing. Light source coming from here. You can see a little bit here. I'll grab my lasso tool. And right now I will probably just do some big selections of her hair. And you know, the highlight will be coming from this way. So we can add a selection here. And I don't have to worry about going outside of the lines because the hair is the only thing selected. Actually, I want to just add all of that together. Add a little piece here. Add some here. Because I want a shadow to kind of fall under there. And so, get my eyedropper tool, select her hair for that color. I'll move it up just a bit, and I'll probably change it to a little yellowish in there. Just a touch. Because I don't want it to be just lighter than that. I want it to be lighter, but a little stank on it. So I'll grab my brush, flows right. I'll zoom out just a bit. Brush, make it big, and then just kind of hit it. So that starts her highlight, right? Deselect. And zoom in. Now it's starting all over again. Lasso. You kind of just start following her hair pattern. Putting cuts where you want. I'm gonna take that. Well, I can leave that there. And again, the artist done some shadow work, so you kind of can just follow what he did there. And you know, hair kind of has all those stringy strands. You can add your own strands in there like that. It's so irritating. I don't know why it does that. And you don't want to get too carried away. Hair, you can go a little balls to the walls with it a little bit. but because again it's stringy, it lends itself to a lot of the highlights and cuts and stuff, but don't overdo it anywhere else, or it's just gonna look like you're kind of just learning and rookie mistakes. And it's cool, like I said, we're learning, but you don't want to be that dude or that gal. And heck, I probably overdid it, but um, and so yeah, I'll grab this color again, push that out there a little bit, grab my brush down a little bit, and let's see where these hit. And I'm actually going really light because I don't want to do too much without not, knowing where that stuff is hitting. And again, it's just I'm coloring in only the selected areas. If I deselect, yeah, that'll work. And you can see the cuts. So again, this is called cutting. If I zoom in, you can see there's hard cuts that fades out, and you just want a variety of stuff happening here. And again, a light source is coming from this way, so this is kind of dark, lighter. I'll do one more section where it's really bright, and I'll probably go here, do a few dark ones, and then add a blue or a purplish tint to show some shading on that side of her head. Zoom in a little bit. Again, I can do whatever I want because that's locked, and I'm only affecting her hair. So let's see. I want that to be. And these obviously get smaller as you keep doing them. And again, I'm holding shift to keep adding selections. And like I said, this is, you kind of want to have your own style. You want to start drawing a little bit, adding some dimension to this hair. Yeah. Maybe add some over here. And I add a few over there just because, a strand or some of that hair could, come out and catch some of that light that's over here. So that's why I do that. I'll add one streak of light somewhere here. Like I was saying down on her uniform, you never know if light is coming from that bottom section. So I'll grab this, move it right to about where the white kind of starts blending in with that color. Again, grab my brush and probably make it a little smaller. And now I can do hard cuts where I want to, and fade stuff in and out where I want to, because I'm now controlling where these cuts are shown or even if they're shown. But since it's hair, you kind of want the cuts to be shown a little harder because now you're adding depth to that hair. I should have added some right there too. I can go back. So if I grab my lasso, since it's already selected, I just hold shift and now I can add little selections to the to her braided part of the hair and maybe here. And I can probably just do that. Lasso the brush. Deselect, boom. I think I want to do just a little bit of dark over here. If I grab an eye, and for this I can just bring this down some. I'm not really too worried about what that's going to do, but add just a little touch, deselect, boom. So now, like I said, I'll grab some purplish blue, leave it there, maybe a little lighter out, it's too dark. Grab my brush, multiply, opacity is kind of low, flow is low. I'll make a selection just to be on the safe side. And I kind of want some dark. Again, I'm showing depth. So I want to show some depth in there. Kind of in that area, right in here. And again, I don't care about this, me going over the skulls or whatever, because again, it's selected and I can do whatever I want and it won't touch that stuff. So if I grab my brush, let's see, undo, I don't like that, multiply. Actually, I can probably bring the opacity down. Let me see if I choose that brush. Yeah, there we go. Undo. Just a little lighter. And here. I like it. Deselect. Zoom out. And there you have it. That's what's happening right now, folks. That is what's happening right now. I think I'm pleased with the hair. We'll leave it like that. Right click my layer, merge down. I'm on a colors layer. I think I'll do her skin and then I'll call it a night. Get my magic wand tool. It selects that part of the skin. Hold shift. I can select that part of the skin, that part, and her face. Your face. Zoom in a bit. And again, hit F4, it goes to a separate layer, it locks it. I can do whatever I want. I'll stay on her skin only. Grab my lasso tool. And so, again, he's done some shadow work here, but I'll exaggerate his shadow work by following just, it ain't even gotta be like on point following, right? Just enough so you know there's a shadow under there. holding shift, come in and add a selection there. Um, let's see, so if we say light is hitting this way too, I think this breast will catch some light, but not that section. So I'll draw this in. And this is what I was saying, where you need to know anatomy. Um, and just the different muscles and shapes of how things will work. If we come in like that. Nope. And since I'm making my own decision here, is that the main light source is coming this way. So if we know faces, we know that like right here, like most faces aren't perfectly round. You kind of like, if you're looking at it head on, it's like that. So hold my shift and we'll kind of just come down like that. But now we know that there's shadow under that nose. So what I'll do is hold Alt, take some of that away. And actually, I'll take more away because now her hair creates a shadow. And so now the light will only hit this area. Let's see, I think I want to add just a bit here. I don't think I'm too concerned with that. I will make sure I grab that color of her skin. Move that over. I think I want to add just a touch of orange in there. Brush. Make it a little bigger. Let's just hit it and see what happens. Do I like that? Is the question. I want to make this. Nope. Doesn't look. Her skin doesn't look healthy. If I grab that, what can I do? Let's see. Oh, what I could do, let's see. So if I grab my color, like I said, I went over here, made it a tad bit lighter, my brush, and I'll keep that for right now, right? Even though it looks like she's really pale. That's not kind of what we want, but for right now, we'll just keep that. I can go to image adjustment, get my hue saturation. Now I can start messing with it here and figure out, there we go. I can add saturation to it, make it lighter, darker. Kind of like where it was going here. Yeah, that's creepy. And so right now I'm kind of just figuring out, you know what I'm saying, like what colors work and what looks natural. Let's see, that's probably more natural. Let's see what that looks like. Deselect. I don't like it too much. And so, oops, my bad. What I'll do is just get back in there and I guess until I'm happy with what I like. Because it looks like she's too pale. It's somewhere around here is where I want to be, but I just don't know. I think I could roll with that. You really can't tell. I mean, there is some highlights happening, but they're definitely not major. And skin is funny that way. Like some skin looks cool with the cuts and everything, and then there's just some that don't need it. So I don't think it really needs it. I know what I will add though is that purple shadowing. I think that I like the way that pops. The actual shade. I think we can come up from here a little bit. And actually, undo, add a little under here to separate that. Make that. I think I'll do under her nose a little bit too. And under here. And this is going to need to be like really subtle. It can't be a lot at all. It's going to look really weird. And I think I'm going to go with that blue like I was doing before. Up there like that. Get my brush. And just hit it ever so lightly. Like I can hit that pretty good down there, but like right here and here on the side of her face, I'm gonna hit that like really light. Let's see what we get. Deselect. I like it. I like it a lot. And so you can see like it's shadow plus like another color, if you will. So you see like two different colors happening, all that good stuff. But it's getting rather late. And I appreciate you guys. I figured out how I guess we can go live and keep going live. without it breaking. Like I said, I sent out a message today too. I may stop doing one of them. I was thinking either moving it to Monday or Wednesday, or just stopping one of them, or maybe two. I'm not sure. And just do two live per month. It's just some things that I want to do um, that happen Tuesdays. One mainly is Brian Stelfreeze does live session drawings, or live models. I've been wanting to go there and keep my skills sharp in that area too, but I need to be there. And I'm here, and I definitely appreciate you guys. Like I said, I want to figure out what needs to take place, whether, again, I just drop one or two on a Tuesdays, or just shift it to a different day in general. So I'll figure it out, and you guys will be the first to know, obviously. Um, but yeah, I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Um, if you want, I'll send this PSD. I'll set it out there for you guys to grab it if you want to. Um, and yeah, practice I don't know why I've just becoming a love coloring. So um, if you guys want this, I'll put it out there. If not, it'll be out there anyway. You can grab it, do whatever you want with it. Um, but yeah, appreciate y'all for hanging out, and I will see y'all all next week, sometime next week. Huh. Looking on here, this color is definitely washed out. Sheesh. Normal. Yeah, sheesh. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.